Look, gosh, this is Let Me Tell You a Movie. Oh, yuck. It's gonna be scary.
Okay, so welcome to Let Me Tell You the Movie, the inaugural episode. These are the bonus episodes for the Let Me Tell You a Story podcast. I'm joined here today by my very talented, very smart, very much a chip off the old block. Makes me so proud. The one and only my son, Adam the Atom. Adam, say hey to the folks.
Hello.
So, Adam, you are very skeptical about the paranormal.
Okay.
But you like horror movies.
So when you say paranormal, you just talk about the paranormal as in ghosts or paranormal as in the supernatural?
Ghosts.
Yes, I am very skeptical when it comes to paranormal activities.
But you do like yourself a horror movie.
I love horror movies. I love horror.
So I want to talk today's horror movie that we're going to tell the folks about.
Mm-hmm.
I know you've seen some of them. We're going to talk about one, that really embodied the 1980s capitalism rush, the craziness of the stores, and it just kind of set the fears into people, and it doesn't get the respect that it deserves.
Mm-hmm.
Let me set the scene for you. Back when I was a kid, we had this toy come out in 1986, and it was a 3-foot doll called My Buddy, and he could say certain things, and he had eyes that moved, and he talked, and he was my buddy. He was your friend to play with for the kids that didn't have anybody to play with because they were an only child. And let's face it, the boomers that were parents of the 80s didn't really care that we had social interaction. They just cared that they went and got their money. Yeah, I said it, boomers, what? But this was the doll. So fast forward 2 years, and a movie comes out and turns that doll into a monster. Do you know what I'm talking about?
You're talking about Child's Play.
That's right, Child's Play. And I'm talking about none other than Chucky. So let's get into the movie. This movie really dug into something that would later become a common appearance in America that wasn't there before. And it was the fact that at Christmas time and birthdays, parents were willing to do anything to get these toys for their kids. Mm-hmm. I mean, you see it now. You hear about the Black Friday fights and everything like that. People fighting to get the hottest toy. It wasn't like that before. If you wanted something that was the hottest toy, you ordered it off the Sears catalog. There wasn't these big, huge massacre-type Black Friday sales. It just wasn't like that. But My Buddy was kind of the first instance where that was happening because the kids really wanted either the My Buddy or the Kid Sister. So fast forward to the movie, My Buddy is replaced with the Good Guy doll. And I have to think that somebody at the studio had to have gone into the store and seen this thing and said, oh, if this thing freaking came to life, I would be scared shitless.
Yeah.
Because that's just, when you think about the My Buddy, the Teddy Ruxpin, these toys that we had in the 80s, with new technology and stuff, you could put AC/DC into the Teddy Ruxpin thing and watch Teddy Ruxpin try to sing to AC/DC and stuff like that.
They were still doing that stuff late into the early 2000s, pushing dolls to be more and more realistic. They get crazy.
And so it was a perfect place to embody fear. Mm-hmm. And enter Charles Lee Ray. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Charles Lee Ray, as you know, is the main antagonist of the Child's Play films. Mm-hmm. Charles Lee Ray was a serial killer who is killed in the opening scene of the movie. And you think, oh wow, he's dead in the opening scene of the movie. Well, that's it, roll credits. But Charles Lee Ray has been learning voodoo. And in learning voodoo and studying Dimbala, he's learned a spell that he can transfer his soul into another body. Charles Lee Ray is killed in a toy store. And guess what he finds as a body?
The My Buddy doll. Well, not the My Buddy doll, but the Good Guy doll.
That's right. He finds the Good Guy doll. And Charles Lee Ray wakes up stuck in a doll.
Fantastic.
given to a little boy named Andy. Now, you've seen the first one, right?
For the most part, yes. It's
Okay.
been a while, but
So-
I do remember like basic plot.
Chucky wakes up in a doll, and the first thing he does is he kind of goes out to first seek revenge, second, figure out how to get out of the doll, which I think is important.
Mhm.
I wouldn't want to be stuck in a doll, would you?
No, not particularly.
No, I definitely wouldn't want to be stuck in a doll. So Chucky's trying to get out of the doll, and the first thing he goes is to the guy who taught him voodoo, and the voodoo guy tells him that the only way he can get out of the doll is to go to the first person he showed himself to as the doll.
Mhm.
And that first person is Andy Barclay. Andy plays a pivotal role in the first 3 movies. And these 3 movies are what I see as the initial Child's Play. As a matter of fact, they're the only ones that are named Child's Play. After that, Chucky takes on an entirely different life. And it's an entirely different movie, I feel like. And I feel like that's an entirely different episode.
Mhm.
So I want to focus on the first 3. So in the first movie, Chucky now realizes he has to get into Andy's body. Getting into Andy's body shouldn't be too hard. It's a 6-year-old kid who thinks Chucky is his best friend. All he has to do is play this little game Chucky likes to call Hide the Soul. The only problem is Chucky can't stop killing. So that starts drawing people's attention. First, it's the babysitter. Then, of course, it's the voodoo guy. Next, he tries to kill the cop that killed him. Not a very good idea. And lastly, he tries to kill Chucky's mom. Not Chucky's mom, Andy's mom, sorry.
Mhm.
All so that he can get into Andy's body.
Mhm.
Massive fight ensues. He gets shot, he gets stabbed, nothing stopping him. But in the end, Andy's mom tosses him into the fireplace, turns the gas on, and Chucky lights a match. No, not Chucky. Andy lit the match. Right? It was Andy that lit the match, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this is the end friend. Killer line,
Yeah.
But Andy, I'm your friend to the end.
I don't remember the line exactly.
This is the end friend.
Oh.
10 points off for not knowing the line. Chucky dies in a ball of fire.
Mhm.
You think it's over, right? Well, except for the fact that Andy's obviously traumatized. The mother they deem as crazy. The cop they deem as crazy because he says the doll was running around.
And in classic horror movie fashion, that wasn't the end of Chucky.
Oh, no. It wasn't. Because what do? The company that makes Good Guys collects the parts from Chucky's doll and dumps it in the recycling bin to make more Good Guy dolls.
Excellent idea. Such a good idea.
So they make a new Chucky, a brand new Chucky doll. Andy has now been sent to live in an orphanage, and he's going to stay in a foster home. Andy's mom is in a mental institution. The detective that saw Chucky and shot Chucky, well, he's basically kicked out of the force. And Chucky is brought back and free to wreak havoc again. And you know what the first thing Chucky thinks about, right?
Getting back into Andy's body.
That's right. So the first thing he does is he gets himself packaged and mailed to Andy Barclay so that he can be Andy's friend to the end. Now, of course, Andy's freaked out by the Good Guy doll at first, but when it turns out it's not Chucky, Andy kind of lets it slide. And this time he's joined by a foster sister who's much older.
Mm-hmm.
And the two of them end up having to escape Chucky after Chucky kills the foster parents, then some cops, then chases them into a toy factory. In the toy factory, Chucky uses the very machines that make the frickin' Good Guy dolls to try and torture and kill Andy and his older sister. Finally, the battle ensues where Chucky ends up getting stapled down onto a freaking platform covered in hot melting plastic, so he's stuck to it. He's shoved in and out of the machine so that arms are just jammed into him, and he becomes this amalgam thing before Andy takes a high-pressure air hose and sticks it in Chucky's mouth, causing Chucky to explode.
Is there room for air in there? It's not like he has lungs.
I mean, he's supposedly turning human the longer he's in the body. That's the other thing, is that
He only has limited time.
He's only got a limited amount of time, and that's the key for Chucky, is that Chucky knows that the longer he's in the body, he'll start feeling pain, he'll start aging, he'll start getting
Do you
worse.
think the timer reset when he got put into a different Chucky doll?
It seems like the timer does reset every time he gets put into a new doll. And it seems like if a part of the doll is used to create a new doll, Chucky comes back in that doll. So then, of course, the question is was that the only Chucky? We don't know. I mean, you can always go back to Child's Play 2 and say, oh, there was another doll that was created over here, and this doll's been sleeping this whole time, and now it wakes up. And when we're talking about the whole Chucky franchise itself, you know, that is something that they could definitely play with later on in the series. I'd love to see that, you know, especially because they're on season 3 of the actual TV series.
Really? That got a third season?
It's got a third season, and this time they're in Washington, D.C. Chucky's in the White House. So for those of you who don't know, you need to go watch the Chucky series. I'm not saying anything else. But, you know, that's the end of the good guys.
Mm-hmm.
Employees are dead. There's, you know, families dead. There's blood all over the factory. Good guys are dead. Okay? And you think that's it for Chucky.
Then they made a third movie.
No, they made a third movie. But the reason they made a third movie is because capitalism really isn't as great as it sounds. Because the first thing that any businessman does is go, hey, this was selling really good, and we had a hiccup. Bet you we can make it sell again. So what do? They make good guys again. And how do they make it? They clean up the factory. They take all the broken bits of plastic that were blown up, the same thing they did in the second movie, throw it into the vat, and they make a new doll.
Fantastic.
They make the new doll, build the new doll, program the new doll, and they send this doll, first doll, they send to anybody. They send it to the president of the company, who is relaunching The Good Guys.
Oh boy.
Enter Chucky Return. Now, he doesn't reveal himself to this guy. He just kills this guy. And he starts looking for none other than
Andy.
That's right. Chucky's hunting down Andy Barkley again for the third time. Only this time Andy, who has been bounced around through foster homes, he's been in the system. They see him as a juvenile delinquent. They see him as a troublemaker. They don't see him as a boy who's been traumatized. So they take Andy and they put him in a military school. Oh.
Phenomenal.
Genius, right? Military school. So Andy is in this military school.
How very 80s.
It was actually early 90s.
Yeah, 90s by this point, yeah.
Yeah, but yes, very 80s and 90s. Send the kid to the military school that has problems. So the kid gets to the military school, and Chucky finds him. So Chucky goes to the military school. Only when Chucky gets himself sent to the military school, he's intercepted by a young boy named Tyler, who opens the box. Now, Chucky comes out, goes after Tyler, realizes it's not Andy. And immediately he goes, don't you know messing with the mail is a federal offense? Ladies and gentlemen, Chucky he's many things, but he's very conscientious about your mail. Now, he says that he needs to go see Andy, but all of a sudden Chucky realizes it's a new body, it's a new timeline, it's a new chance. And he just revealed himself to another young boy who has no clue that he's a psychopathic serial killer.
Wait, didn't he try to kill him?
No, he attacked him. He didn't try to kill him. He's just scared. So then he became Tyler's friend. And, you know, Hide the Soul becomes the game that Chucky likes to try and play with Tyler. The only problem is Chucky keeps getting interrupted. And then he gets seen by Andy. Now, Andy is a teenager. Andy is in a military school. In a military school where they have weapons.
Oh, boy.
So Andy tries to hunt down Chucky. So a good part of the movie has to do with the back and forth of Chucky and Andy at the school.
Tom and Jerry.
Kind of Tom and Jerry in it. Meanwhile, Chucky gets hidden in places, and anybody who messes with Chucky kind of gets it. There's a great scene where the barber gets Chucky, and he likes shaving people bald. He likes taking all the hair off and going, presto, you're bald. So Chucky's got this long red hair. So he's got Chucky sat in a chair, and he's like, oh, we're going to get you good. And he goes to get the clippers to shave Chucky bald, and turns around, and Chucky's gone.
Gone, yeah.
Can't find Chucky. And all of a sudden he looks in the mirror, and there's Chucky behind him with a straight razor
And
right across the
slits his
throat and says, presto, you're dead. In the famous Chucky way that just makes it Chucky.
Mm-hmm.
Long story short, they have war games that are getting ready to go on.
Mm-hmm.
And so Chucky's losing his chance. Remember, the longer he's in this body, the more human he becomes.
Yep.
He's never going to be fully human, but he can feel pain, he can bleed, and of course, he can die. He's done it twice now. So Chucky doesn't want to be in this body. He wants to be in a human body. And what better body than the body of the young black child Tyler? So Chucky tries to get to the war games.
Mm-hmm.
But he also knows he has to deal with Andy, who's going to be on the lookout for him, even if he's going to the war games. So Chucky plays a little game of his own.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to one of the team's rifles.
Oh, boy.
And replaces their paint shots with live rounds. So one team is firing live ammunition, one team isn't.
That's fucked up.
Yes. So Chucky not only does that, but then he starts throwing grenades into the mix. So as they're trying to play recon and get Chucky away from Tyler, an actual firefight happens between the two halves of the school, with them shooting at each other and Chucky throwing actual live grenades just so he can get Tyler away from Andy long enough to put his soul in Tyler.
When did they realize it was live ammunition? When you notice that the moment you fired your first bullet?
So here's the thing. When they do these paint rounds, they fill them with almost as much powder as they put in a live round. They just put a gel paint pellet at the end, so that when it hits you, it's going to hurt, it's going to sting, but it's not going to be solid enough or powerful enough to penetrate and cause any lasting damage. Mm-hmm. So as far as the gun goes, you're going to feel the recoil. It's going to feel very similar to the gun going off. Now, it's not going to be the same, and it's not going to be nearly as loud because the pressures are different. But in the moment, no, you're probably not going to notice that as a child, because you're not going to be that aware. It's going to be a gunshot. Now, someone who's trained, who knows what a real gunshot sounds like, immediately that alarm's going to go off. That was a real bullet.
Mm.
But of course, everybody's firing the real. Nobody knows who's firing the real and who's firing the fakes until people start getting shot. Then, of course, it's like, whoa, 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 game over. Chucky grabs Tyler, or gets Tyler to grab him, really, and directs him to a nearby carnival. Trying to find a place.
What do you the fuck you mean by a nearby carnival?
For some reason, there's a carnival just randomly out in the middle of the woods where this school is holding a war game. Don't ask me why. Remember, these horror movies are not written by masters of plot.
Yeah.
They're written by masters of plot devices.
Mm.
And this plot device is perfect because what does it give you? It gives you the funhouse. And the funhouse is always the place where all kinds of havoc can be had. So in this funhouse, of course, there's this roller coaster ride that goes around this like demon mountain with like this bat-winged demon that slings down, and the Grim Reaper has a scythe that just swings down and narrowly misses the riders. Of course, if you were standing off, that scythe, which is razor sharp, would of course cut you. And Chucky takes Tyler in there and finds a place high on top of like this mountain where he's going to summon Dimbala to take Tyler's soul. And he's actually the closest he's ever gotten. Like the clouds are forming, lightning striking. He's about to get in there.
Climactic events are unfolding.
Andy Barclay shows up, ladies and gentlemen. Because, of course, if anybody is going to come to the rescue with Chucky, it's going to be Andy Barclay, right? So Andy Barclay shows up, and there is a triumphant showdown. At this point, Tyler, who for the whole movie has really thought that hide the soul is a good idea, and honestly, I feel like that's just bad writing on the part because you have an African American child that's going to think that it's okay to play a game called Hide the Soul.
And
Let me tell you something. That child has been taught from birth that's not okay. All right.
and okay.
No, it's not okay. Just it should have. No.
Is Tyler like a teenager?
No, Tyler's like 9.
Oh, then what's he doing on the military school?
I think Tyler's an orphan, actually. You know, it's been a while since I've seen the 3rd movie. Anyway, the climax is happening. Tyler's figured out Chucky's a bad guy. Now Chucky's got a gun. He doesn't have a knife, he's got a gun. And he's trying to force Tyler to stay still so he can take Tyler's soul out and put his soul in. And Andy's got a gun, and they're fighting with guns. Of course, Chucky somehow ends up in the line of fire of the frickin' Grim Reaper. And whoom, there goes a piece of Chucky's face and one of his hands and the gun. That's okay. Chucky's still got his trusty knife, and Chucky still going. Until, remember that demon I said that comes flying through? Well, one of the soldiers that was helping Andy gets on that thing. I think it's Tyler, actually. Gets on that thing and flies it into Chucky, knocking him into a giant industrial-sized fan that is spinning at several hundred RPMs per second. And it chops Chucky into pieces, finally ending the Child's Play series. That's it. It was over. That was the end. And for all effects and purposes, I think Child's Play ends there.
Mm-hmm.
After that, it's Chucky. It's not Child's Play. And I think it's important to put that in there, is that it is a different character, a different movie, a different set of circumstances once you enter in with Jennifer Tilly and the storyline that goes on from there. Yes, it's all the same complete story, but it really is 2 different horror franchises, in my opinion. It's not the same.
Yeah.
You need the first 3 to have the last 4 and the show, but they aren't the same.
It's like extended media.
Yeah, it's the expanded universe. It's the Chucky expanded universe is what it is. But there is one other movie, and it is completely off the rails from the standard Child's Play, and you've seen it.
It's the reboot.
It's the reboot of Child's Play. And now this one is really interesting because this one actually, again, takes on modern fears. This one, of course, with the dolls that we're building nowadays, we're putting more AI and more computing power, and we're making them think for themselves. So what happens with this doll? Somebody puts an evil program into the doll, and the doll wakes up as a serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
But not only does the doll wake up as a serial killer, but the doll, voiced by Mark Hamill, by the way, which Mark Hamill voicing the villain is just perfect. The doll has the ability to wirelessly connect through Bluetooth and Wi-Fi with other electronic devices made by the company.
It reminds me of when they did the first trailer for, it was either Scream 5 or Scream 6, where they do the whole, like, do you like scary movies bit? But it's in, like, a modern house. And the dude is a hacker, so he keeps unlocking the doors and turning off the lights via Bluetooth.
Yeah, and that's what this Chucky could do. So he activates an entire army of weapons that he has because he's in this store. And then in the finale, he's just activating, electric appliances that are all supposed to be smart appliances. So it really is taking this thing that we've created to make our lives better and going, let me show you the scary and dark side of it. Which, to me, is part of what makes horror so great.
It was an interesting take on it.
I really thought it was. So, folks...
But the execution...
So, I feel like because they took away Chucky's background, even though Mark Hamill is a great villain in the movie, and I think Mark Hamill did a wonderful job,
it was still kind of missing that
character
personality.
Felt flat. Yes.
Yeah.
And if we're going to rate the movie, honestly, it is probably...
like a 6, 7?
Yeah, like a 6 or so. It's decent. It's a Child's Play movie. You'll get a good laugh out of it, but don't think that you're going and seeing Scorsese here. This isn't the top of the movie. But with us telling the story, and I know it's kind of been a fast ride, but now what I want to do is between me and Adam, we're going to rate the Child's Play movies and the Child's Play reboot from best to worst based on what we know about the stories that we've just shared.
Mm-hmm.
So, Adam, I'm going to give you my take.
Mm-hmm.
And my take, honestly, is that the second one was better than the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, it all basically goes in a row. 2, 1, 3, 4. Now, what do you think when you look at the series?
I mean, I haven't seen 2 or 3. It's been a long time since I've seen 1. But from what I know, I'd probably rate it from worst to best.
Okay.
1?
As the worst?
Yeah. Not because it's particularly bad, but just because it was
Dated?
It's very dated.
Okay. I'll give you that.
Then the reboot.
Mm-hmm.
Then 3, then 2.
Okay. So we are agreed. 2 sounds like the best movie out of the series.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, after listening to this, we've told you the movie. If you haven't seen it yet, go out and watch the movie. And remember our recommendation. The best one is Child's Play 2.
I do not want to end this segment without talking about something.
What's that?
We can't talk about Child's Play without talking about its spiritual successor that came out this year.
What's that?
Megan.
Megan.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're absolutely right. We've got to talk about Megan. How could we miss Megan? So, for those of you that don't know, we're not going to tell you the story of Megan. We're just going to tell you what we thought about Megan.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Megan, in a snippet, is about a doll that is created with AI and given a job of being everything for a child. And it takes that job very seriously and does not give that job up in the slightest. Megan is probably one of the best slash thriller horror movies that I've seen come out in a while.
But it does really lean into the comedy, which is fantastic.
And that's the thing is that with the slasher genre,
mm-hmm.
You can lean into the comedy hard, and the reason that works is because you have these highs and lows. So if you get this high of a very fearful high, and then you bring it down with like some comedy real quick, now you've thrown the person off kilter. Okay, the viewer is off kilter. Those jokes, those laughs, everything that we got out of that, it throws you completely off kilter. And then all of a sudden you've got that scare that just flips you around backwards. And next thing you know, you're spinning around in your seat because you don't know what the hell happened.
Megan is filled with less like straight up scary moments though, and more like action sequences.
It really does have a lot of that. And actually, a lot of the actual killing is done off scene, which is very Hitchcockian. We're not going to show you we're going to make you think that it's going on, but we're not going to show you that it's going on. A lot of movies, thought that was a cop-out back in the day. And so they started leaning towards, let's show the gore and let's show the guts and let's show the stabbing. And really, it was more psychological when you could hear it and know what was going on, but you couldn't see it. So you just kind of winced at the feeling of what you thought was happening. And maybe not everybody thought the same thing. Maybe everybody thought something different. It didn't matter because we were all thinking of something terrible. And that was the idea of Hitchcockian horror. And I think Megan kind of played around a little bit with that. And that's what made it a great movie.
Mm-hmm. I thought Megan was fantastic. I'd even go as far to say it's better than every Playtime movie. Really.
Child's Play movie.
Child's Play movie.
Come on, man.
Sorry.
He's still growing up, guys. He's still growing up. He's my boy. I love him. But he has to remember the name sometimes.
I'm not a movie guy.
All right, so folks, do you have anything else to add about Child's Play or Megan, Adam?
Go see Megan if you haven't. It's actually fantastic. And give Child's Play a try.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
Yes, I agree with both of them. Again, I am the Carolina storyteller, Jonathan Phoenix. This is Let Me Tell You the Movie, your bonus episode for 2023 in October. Enjoy and stay spooky, my friends.